This is going to be a test video on the 13 Pro Max shot in 4K. The first half of this video is going to be in 30 frames a second. The second half is going to be in 60 frames a second. If you're shooting in 60 frames a second, you cannot do this. You cannot switch between the lenses while you're in 60 frames a second, as I will demonstrate upstairs in the low light. That is something you need to consider if you're buying this phone primarily to do videos. The low light performance of the main camera, I think they call it the wide, is absolutely outstanding. I can see clearer through the camera than I can with my naked eye. That rail down there, I can barely even see it with my naked eyes, but yet this camera is picking it up very clearly. Up there is the mountain, and you can clearly see it. The low light performance is totally outstanding. Now we're going to switch between the three lenses. This is the ultra wide. There appears to be no image stabilization. I'm shaking the camera. We'll switch to the standard wide. I'm shaking the camera. It appears to have really good image stabilization. I'm shaking pretty hard. Now we're going to go to the telephoto. It appears to have image stabilization as well. I'm shaking the camera really hard. Now we're going to switch to 60 frames a second, starting off with the ultra wide. This is at 4K 60 with no frame reduction on the ultra wide angle camera. As I said earlier, there's no way to switch between these lenses when recording in 60 frames a second. If you click the other lens, all it does is digitally zoom in on your subject. Now we're going to switch to the standard wide. As you can see, it's a lot brighter. This is the standard wide angle lens in 4K 60 with no frame reduction turned on. We are shooting 60 frames a second, and this camera is still seeing stuff clearer than I can see with my own eyes. Again, up there is Mill Mountain. Now we're going to switch to the telephoto. This is the telephoto lens at 4K 60. As you can see, in 60 frames a second, in low light, the performance is not as good as at 30 frames a second. Still visible, but not as good. Now we are back on the standard wide angle lens, and we will go back downstairs. I hope this video has given you an idea of what kind of low light performance to expect at both 30 and 60 frames a second. Keep in mind, we are shooting 4K 60 video, and it is very dark out here. I am very impressed with the low light quality on this camera, but I am very disappointed with the fact that while shooting 60 frames a second, you cannot switch lenses. I can see better through this camera than with my own eyes. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it helps you get an idea of what this camera is capable of. Right now I'm walking at a regular pace, and you can see how well the image stabilization is doing. Like I said, I'm very disappointed at the fact that you cannot switch lenses into 60 frames a second. Thank you for watching, and there will be a detailed video about this new iPhone coming up soon. A huge thank you to all of my patrons for your support of elevaTOURS.
The video's over.
But it doesn't have to be.
You can always watch more.
And you know what to do.
Click the buttons. And don't forget to subscribe and light up that bell. Until next time, bye y'all.